this past week, I was picking up a lot of, I'm not sure if it's my algorithm or what, but I was picking up a lot of clips from this, the debate surrounding the Charlie Kirk thing. And one thing that stood out to me is I saw this clip and it was fascinating in the sense that the amount of detail the person went through to figure out what he figured out, and I'm not even sure if what he was saying was true. It was something I wanted to look up myself because I was like, man, that's like a lot of work that went into that. But I saw this video of, I guess I don't know if it was this week. I don't know the timeline on the things that I'm finding with this particular subject because it just sort of pops up all the time on my feed, and I don't know. Like, am I getting it real time? Is this something that's new? But apparently Candace Owens recently shared this video of Tyler Robinson supposedly crawling on the rooftop, taking the shots. It's very grainy footage. There's nothing super revealing. And I guess the big conspiracy or the big story behind it is that some people came out supposedly after seeing this specific video, and they were like, "Oh, it's clear as day that Tyler did this." And one thing that's super fascinating to me is how some people it's basically a speck on the screen. I mean, it would be like he would be smaller than this. I probably shouldn't do this. Than this right here, this little mark on my wall. He would be smaller than that and grainier than that, like at a distance. And people will go, here you can see Tyler Robinson crawling across. I'm like, I see a dude. I don't see anybody specifically. Like, I can't make anything on that out. But that was supposedly the big takeaway. But then this gets fed into the internet sphere. Candace reveals it on her show, and then everybody takes it from there and starts coming up with all their theories. And basically what this one guy that I was watching did was he took apart the video and started to try to figure out like where he was looking at the fixtures on the roof of the building and trying to, with Google Earth, trying to figure out, by the way, it's an amazing world we live in, but he was trying to pinpoint where this gentleman was in the video that they were showing. They were trying to pinpoint where he was in relationship to Charlie on the roof, and so they're trying. The guy was using Google Earth to try to find like, okay, here's this like vent, and here's this building here, and there's like this whole convoluted thing, and then way off in the distance there's this huge church, and they were trying to like use Google Earth to match this all up, and I was never able to go back and figure out if he was right, wrong, or indifferent on that. Because again, I think I've said in the past, this is not a subject I really want to get deep into, and I'll share why at the end of this segment. But I was sitting there thinking to myself as I was watching this clip. So this is how my mind works. This guy he kept replaying a section of this clip, and he would take his cursor and go, you can see this structure, and you can see this point, and then he'd switch back tabs to, and while he's doing that, he keeps replaying this like, it's like 5 seconds or 10 seconds of this guy running across the roof, just this little speck running across the roof. And I'm sitting there watching it, and it occurred to me that I was like, wasn't the original story that we were told, like, and I don't know if this is even the case anymore, but that he disassembled the rifle, and he takes the shot, disassembles the rifle, and jumps down. And I see all kinds of memes and jokes and conspiracy theory videos and all this stuff. And I just remember thinking to myself, because in this video, they've gone out of their way to sync the timing up. So he gets down in the prone position, supposedly takes a shot, hops up and darts off the roof. And then they'll, people who are trying to piece all the clips together will have him jumping down and all this stuff. And I'm just like, when does he take the gun apart again? Like, one of the jokes out there is that he takes the gun apart, assembled it, took it apart, left a screwdriver on the roof, like all this stuff. What I have to admit, and I'm not even sure at this point, is what even is the official story with this Charlie Kirk shooting? I like if you were to sit FBI Director Kash Patel down right now and go, dude, here's a sheet of paper right here. I'm going to give you a sheet of paper. Write what happened. No names. Just write what happened. You don't have to say Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk. Just write, based on the evidence that you've seen, what the official story is, because I don't even know anymore. And like when people make jokes about how, oh, you believe the official story and how did Tyler Robinson take the gun? I remember for a long time, the Rogan podcast would talk about this, and they would talk about this disassembling and reassembling of this old rifle. And I was like, it's like, okay, like, sure, I don't know. But like what I've thought about is there's videos of him supposedly with the gun fully assembled in his pant leg. I don't. So like I was thinking to myself as I'm watching this guy go into an absurd amount of detail into this video, which was very interesting. I thought it was fascinating because all I know is what I was seeing didn't look like it lined up either. He was arguing that the person in the video did not have a line of sight to Charlie. I have no idea. But I thought to myself, it's kind of a weird. I was just watching the video. I'm like, it's kind of a weird angle, and I don't want to be one of those conspiracy theorists who's like, well, it looked to me like, oh, what, it could have been this, that. The thing that struck me was it doesn't look like in the video the person gets close enough to the edge of the roof to take the shot, but I don't know the directions. But what I'm asking is, what is the official story at this point? Like, what are we supposed to, like, if you're not crazy? Right. If in order to pass the you're not a conspiracy theorist test, what would you have to believe at this point with this story? Because I don't know what is the current official timeline that we can actually link evidence to. Like, do they still believe he took the gun apart and left the screwdriver up there? Because in that video, the gun doesn't get taken apart. One of the funny memes that I saw was Tyler Robinson took the gun apart, left the screwdriver on the roof for the FBI to find, and then without the screwdriver reassembled it so that they could find the gun. And it's like, that's kind of funny actually, like when you think about it. But what I'm wondering is that whole taking the gun apart and putting it reassembling, is that even part of the story anymore, or is that just something they thought might have been a way that he snuck the gun in, but now we've kind of come to the conclusion that he just had it all together the whole time? Like, is there somebody still arguing that the gun was disassembled? I don't know. I don't understand this story at all. But so there was that. And then the other thing that struck me this week is, listen, of this whole thing, I thought what happened after the shooting, like the week, I think it was like the week after you had the Republican National Convention going on, or they did their own CPAC. I can't remember, but there was a lot of like what I consider to be strange fanfare associated with this, with the funeral, and they did that whole like TPUSA like celebration or whatever it was. I don't know what they called all that stuff, memorial. Where Tucker and Trump and all these people spoke, and it was just kind of like, I was like, this is kind of weird. And let me just say, as somebody who has, I'm trying to remember the number, 8, I think I had 6, 7, or 8 somewhere in there. I've buried people, all none tragic, all elderly people who just reached the end of life. As a minister, I conducted funeral services. I was there when people passed away. This is weird. This was weird behavior, but I will also say that people behave weirdly in these situations. And if the family felt that this was the legacy he wanted and this is what he would want, then they do what they do. But a video came across my feed that I thought was interesting, and I was trying to think objectively about it. And it was weird to me, the comments in the comment section, but it was this, I don't know how old these videos are. I might be getting stuff that's really old. But it was a video of Candace Owens wanting to know where the body was. And her, I don't know if argument's the right word, but she was just highlighting the fact that in an interview, Erica was asked this. So they were asking Erica Kirk these questions about, this is what the conspiracy theorists are saying. What can you say in response? And they asked about this. And Candace was saying, look at the visceral reaction that Erica has to this question. And Erica did have a visceral reaction. Like, I'll be honest, she seems very performative, but people are performative. So in her role, in her life, she's had a life in front of, she was a pageant person in the past. Like she's has to be performative. It's part of life for her. But when asked about where the body was, she got very like dark and serious and was like, can I just have one thing? And I was watching that and I was going, I can see this from both angles. Like on the one side, like I don't know what knowing where the body would be. I don't know what difference that makes. I really have no idea what Candace is getting at. Like, what does she want to exhume the body and look at it herself so she can determine? Like, it's just weird. It's a weird thing. But I was watching it and I was thinking, yeah, why should that information be? I mean, keep in mind that Charlie Kirk was an extremely public figure that obviously upset people enough to get him shot. Okay, his views, his beliefs, the way he presented them, which I never thought were that abrasive, but he went into and up against people who disagreed with him. So there's a lot of people who hated him. People celebrated his death. It's a sick world. And I can totally understand why you would want to keep that secret. And she said for her and for her kids, of course. Like that makes total sense to me. But at the same time, her reaction did seem like she does this thing sometimes where she gets like a real dark, like a real, just like a real, like her, when she shows anger, it seems performative and it seems over the top. And what I mean by that is it's like, it's not the amount of anger you would want at the time. It's like super sweet, nice, forgiving. That's the what we're supposed to believe about her. And then all of a sudden you ask her a question like this and she just like, she lowers her head and she's like she just gets evil looking, like, ugh. It's like, okay. I think another similar example of this is when she was asked, like, what would your message be to people like Candace? And it was like, just stop it. But she's like stop it. Like, but again, it's like performative. It's like she's trying to be serious and not getting it across. But I have to imagine those situations are weird. Like when you're in a studio answering these questions for people, it's what happened before, what happened up to, and now you're in it. Like, you're trying to get your point across, not allowing the media to do what it does. Look, I've screwed up just in this podcast alone. I've screwed up twice and got frustrated and had to like get things sorted out and walk away because I'm like, it's frustrating because of the technology. But like, I can only imagine what it's like to be in makeup and probably hours beforehand going through all that. I'm sure it's very frustrating. And you want to, the world is going to misread everything you do and say. So you're trying your best to like come across a certain way and it doesn't come across that way. So, but my point is, so like I was watching this Candace Owens like clip where it's like Candace likes to do this thing where she goes, she'll ask a question, show the clip, and then come back and kind of look like confused, like, And then you're supposed to fill in the blank that she's clearly like impressing upon you. Like, you're supposed to come to what she perceives as the obvious conclusion. My thing was, I was watching the video and I was going, she kind of has a point. Like, why should everyone know where Charlie Kirk is buried? Why should they know that? That is a weird thing. And 100%, if you knew where it was, the grave would get, what would be fun? This is kind of sick, but it's just my way of looking at it. What would be fun is if Erica released a false location, like set up a whole display, a fake one, and said, oh yeah, he's fine. You want to know where he's buried? He's buried here. And then let what happens, right? It would be, because what would happen is people would defame or desecrate that site, whatever it is. Probably going to happen anyway. She did go on and on about how they're going to have a memorial for him and she just wants one thing for herself. And that's fine. I mean, I think that's a perfectly reasonable position to have, regardless of how weird it is in the way she presented it. So all of that to say is I say this is our news segment, and what I want to get to is, as I'm watching these clips, so what happens to me is I'll be doom scrolling through running content, through my own content, liking videos of people or replying to people who like my videos and things like that, and then you get lost. Everyone does this. They get lost in the scrolling aspect of it. And then one of these will come up and I'll just linger a little too long on a video like that one I was talking about earlier where the guy was like really going into detail with comparing Google Earth to this video. I just found that fascinating. And then I'll get 10 videos back to back, all related to Charlie Kirk. But the reason I bring these two clips specifically up, and don't really want to talk about the shooting. I don't have any clue what went on with that shooting. But what I do know is that people get extremely invested in this stuff. I mean, these clips that I'm watching, the ones that I find, I mean, these people are deep into it. This guy, I mean, I was watching like maybe a 2-minute clip. I want to say it was on Instagram or YouTube Shorts, one or the other. And I was drawn in because I was like, that doesn't look like the same spot. You know, like he had me and he's turning Google Earth and trying to line it up to match the video. And I'm going, first of all, we live in an amazing world where we can do that, where we can fact check it. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, this is a 2-minute clip. This guy went really deep down this rabbit hole. Like he's in this rabbit hole. He's all the way in it. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, this whole Charlie Kirk thing, it's like a real life murder mystery that people get to be drawn into and be a part of by having their podcast. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I'm talking about it. But I'm not as interested in the murder mystery aspect of it. I can't come to a reason that makes sense to me because in my mind, I don't see Charlie as being as influential as people say he was. I mean, I'm sure he was. What do I know? But like, there's a lot of people who credit him with getting Trump elected, but maybe not. I don't know. I didn't know him as a political actor. I kind of knew him as more of a religious person that would defend, religious positions and stuff like that. So I didn't look at him in that light, but I'm like, people are so entertained by this stuff. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago when I kind of dodged talking about it before. And I was thinking about it more after seeing these two clips. And I was like, it really is a real life, true life murder mystery with the added context of like military CIA component. And it got me thinking about like, I think it's Tom Clancy wrote all those books that are basically like drama fiction for men. And I'm like, it's really like, depending on your background, it has all those elements to it. It has, if you want to paint the picture a certain way, it has the potentially conspiracy to kill your husband with the wife thing. It has all these fictional elements. It has the government behind the scenes working. Like, it has all the elements of a story, a fictional story that would be a #1 bestseller. And then, people read that stuff and they have these thoughts in their heads and they get consumed by it. And I mentioned a few weeks ago, it's kind of like Serial, the podcast back in the day when that went off. Like, people love to be invested in the fact that there's a romantic element, there's a murder, there's some things that don't add up. And what if there was this aspect of people get really worked up about injustice? And so you wonder if there was some injustice done, and people really get into that stuff. Like, I've never been a big fiction guy. I remember somebody tried to get me to read, I think it was the Tom Clancy books back in the day, and I'm just not a fiction person. I've always felt that fiction was just a distraction. Like, I mean, I can watch a movie, TV with the best of them, but reading fiction just always felt like too much effort for the entertainment to me, which probably sounds terrible. But at the end of it, like I was even thinking about talking about this. I had one sentence. I wasn't even I was like, I'll just mention it in passing. But then I was like, no, you know what? There is one step to this that I can go one further step. When I look at this, I'm trying to give you an uncredible take as a guy who goes to work every day. Those are the people who are fascinated by this subject matter. They're the ones listening to this content and feeding off of it from different angles. And I thought, you know what it is? And I've thought about this with some of the conspiracy theories that I get into. If you're 100% correct, right? Like, tell me what the narrative is and tell me what your theory is. If you're 100% correct, what difference does it make? Right? And we're going to talk, for our main topic, we have another news thing, but we're going to talk a little bit more about this. But like, let's say, let me go through history and just highlight a couple different things. Let's say you're right that we never landed. Nobody's ever been outside of the earth. We've never been allowed out, and it's all a lie, and we never went to the moon. Nobody's ever been to the moon. No one's ever been to outer space. Those are just projectiles in the sky. It's all fake. Let's say that's true. Let's say that's hypothetically true. So what? You say, oh, well, then the government's been lying to us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what? Like, what are you going to do about it? like, what are you going to do about it? And again, we're going to talk about this in our next segment when we talk about COVID and the Fauci trials, or it's not even a trial, the Fauci, whatever that was, the political theater. But like, specifically to this issue, as entertaining as it is to think about all the elements and who was involved and how it happened, there is that unknown that would be nice to know. But if you knew, what difference would it make? Right? Let's say worst case scenario. Let's get the most, not worst case, but I guess worst case. Let's say the craziest idea, right? Let's say Israel was mad that Charlie was trying to turn on Israel and support Iran and go against this genocide in Iran, and it was going to look bad for them, and he was going to run for president down the road, and they didn't want him to run for president down the road, so they got a microphone, and it didn't go quite to plan. Let's say all that's true, right? So what? Like, it's awful, it's horrible, right, if that's the case. But so is the actual story, right? The actual story is somebody from the left didn't agree with his political views and wanted to silence him, was maybe a little mentally disturbed, was goaded by his friends, a young person, pulled a rifle out and shot him. Okay, so what if that was the conspiracy? And so what? The reality is there are injustices in the world, and I don't know what, especially this one, right? We're going to talk about Fauci here in a minute and COVID, because that one's a little different in the sense that it affected people, but this doesn't really, I don't know how this specifically affects anyone other than those who are close to him. You know, people are interested in it and fascinated by the entertainment of it, which I find weird, but I also understand it because people love this type of fiction. So they're going to love this type of reality, and they're in it, and it's real, and it's, you know, it's exciting. But like, what if Candace is right? They prosecute Erica Kirk. They put her in jail for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Let's go that far. It's like, so what now? Like, I mean, I guess for Candace, she would be proven right, and then she could continue to do what she does and make more money. She's just vindicated. It makes me wonder about people's motivation, but more to the point, like, that would be Candace versus Erica. But like, the regular person watching these clips and doing these conversations, like even me right now, right? Like, what am I served by talking about this other than just my uncredible musings? Like, what? Tomorrow you're still going to have to get up and go to your factory, your office, your bus, your truck, your school. And what, you get to go tomorrow and be right about something? What I found is people will just find another thing to latch on to and chase. And I can't get past the fact that it doesn't really, if we're honest, get back. It doesn't get beyond entertainment. And this sense of wanting to be right about something, that it doesn't matter if you're right about it. So we love your comments. We love your thoughts on that. I do not want to talk about this subject because I lean into this uncredible fact, but I'm so uncredible on this because I didn't really follow Charlie Kirk. I'd seen his clips and I thought he did a great job. I agreed with a lot of his religious views. Not sure about his politics that much because I didn't. I was more libertarian leaning, but like, I saw the shooting when it happened, like maybe an hour after it happened. And all that's come since then, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Like, obviously you want justice, you want the guy to get caught, but even in the days after this happened, I was just like befuddled by the FBI's, oh yeah, we've got the guy. No, we don't have the guy. And then some random guy got handed to us because his dad yelled at him. Like, the whole thing was just weird, and it's just continued to be weird. And I don't understand it, other than beyond the fact that this is just political theater that they're using to distract us from something else, which I've talked about in the past. To me, the something else is what's going on in Iran. It could be even more sinister than that we don't even know about. But yeah, like what happens if not even just Charlie Kirk, but let's say your greatest conspiracy theory proves to be right, and then what? Maybe a good maybe a good thing to do would be to sit down and write down what you think the story is, what the story that's people present as fact, or what the, I believe this happened. This is what they say happened. Okay, we'll put it in those terms. And then on the back of that paper, so use a paragraph for both. Then on the back, write down what you would like to see happen differently and how it would change your life tomorrow. I have a feeling as you got towards the end of that exercise, you'd have a very blank paper because, at the end of the day, you'd be like, I was right. Okay, good for you. Then what? I don't know. Oh, the government just came out and said there are aliens. We never landed on the moon. Nuclear weapons don't really exist. There's no gold in Fort Knox. That's all been a lie this whole time. Sorry. What's going to change for the regular American? Nothing. For the regular, I say regular American from my perspective, but in any government, what difference does it make? And I would also like to, I would love to know what this looks like from the international community, because I can't imagine they're as fascinated by it beyond the entertainment value of it. And I hate to say the entertainment value, but that's what this is. People are entertained by this. They are entertained by studying it. They're entertained by presenting it and talking about their opinions, and they're entertained by the confusion and the mystery of it all.
No quit, no quit, no quit. Building their wall, building their wall. While they talk about us, all they talk about us. Educated, experienced, still not credible. So we embraced it. Now we're uncredible.